What's going on, folks? Welcome back to the Real Down. It's me, your boy Jimmy. We're here with Garrad. What's going on?
What's going on? Nothing much. You're back
Yep,
finally.
finally back. Finally catching up on some bull crap and
Yeah, we missed
feeling
you the last
better.
couple weeks.
Yeah, I just had a whole bunch of stuff going on. Some little family stuff, and then me trying to close out all this electrical work from swapping careers, and just been busy. But everything's good now, and I like to say everything's slowing down, but we're about to come into some. For me, like it's actually kind of crazy right now. My boss went to Switzerland today, so I'm kind of running things.
It must be nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of running things to a couple days this week, couple few days this week, couple few days next week, and then he gets back July 3rd, and we're gonna try to like grind it out on like July 5th, and then me and you leave for ICAST.
Yeah,
Me, you,
the
and a bunch of the
following
paddle and
week.
fin guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's like then we're gone for 9 days probably.
yeah.
So it's
That's gonna move quick. Like
Yeah, I
that time.
wasn't freaking out until I texted Brian today, just so me and him could kind of work through some iCast details,
Yeah.
and then it's really close. Like,
Oh, I know. It slipped up on me, and I forgot to request it off for work, and I was like, oh man, I'm cutting it real close on this one. And
did
I
you get
have
that
to find.
approved?
Yeah, he said it. My manager said it'd be fine. He's like, "Yeah, you're good. I'll add it to the calendar. We'll find somebody to cover you."
Good. I mean,
Thank
hey,
God.
you've been kissing that butt for them for a minute now. They need to give you a
Yeah,
break.
yeah. I need a good week of just no work at all. I've been doing like 60 to 70 hours a week the last 2 months, and it's wearing on me, man.
Oh, dude, we'll have plenty of time to ourselves down there, and then for all the listeners, while we're at the show, we'll be doing podcasting. Probably won't be much live because the internet down there is garbage. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a giant convention center. We're not even paying for the Wi-Fi this year. New Canoe paid for the Wi-Fi last year, and you still could barely get a live show out. So we'll probably just do like short recordings.
Yeah.
So we'll have some work to do
Some
for a
media
few
stuff.
days, but
Yeah.
it's different. It's just fun. Like,
I can't wait for it.
dude, it's
Get
I
to
was where
nerd
you
out
are
on
last
stuff.
year. So like last year was just like I remember walking in. So setup before I get kicked out of setup because I didn't have the right badge to be setting up. But um setup you already can tell like holy crap, this is a lot. But
Yeah.
then when I came in, so the first day, so Tuesday, there is an on the water demo.
Mhm.
So there is like everybody that watches iCast has seen it. There's the pond out front
Yeah.
and it's stocked. So there's companies out there letting you try out new baits. All the kayaks are being put in. There's like it's a sidewalk and there's pop-up tents everywhere and there's beer and food and that's fun. So we'll
Yeah.
do that Tuesday. Well, actually, maybe not because I think we're fishing Tuesday, so we probably won't go to that at all. But it's
We
not
can make them. Yeah, we can do both.
if we can figure it out.
Yeah.
It's cool to see, but it's actually very quick. Like I don't know. I guess all the video footage you see of it makes it seem like it's huge. It's not. It's like 50 yards wide. Like
Yeah.
you like boom boom done. Oh.
I can imagine.
And then like to my knowledge there's no new kayaks coming out this year.
And
Like
I've been in basically everything that's
and
out
I
right
yeah,
now. So
like the only one last year that I had not been in that I had interest in was the NAR.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
So, but everything else
I don't
like
think I've been in an autopilot either.
I did that well not there, but they didn't have one there. Old Town
Yeah.
was there, but I don't think they had it on the water. I don't think.
Mm.
Because I think they set up late, if I remember correctly. I think they were like one of the last people to set up. Or maybe that was Bonafide. I can't remember. It's a lot of chaos. But when you walk down, so the convention center, you actually go down into it. So it's like main floor. You come in and you go down escalators into the convention. When you
Yeah.
walk in, and it's like as far as you can see this way, and then you look to the left, and it's even farther than you can see to the left. You're just like, oh shit.
Wow.
Like I had a little video, like I was recording when I went in and was like, oh, this is overwhelming. because you have like a little bit of panic. You're
Walking
like,
around with a little GoPro chesty all over walking around everywhere.
yeah, I did chesty, took a camera stick, and like I'll tell you, you got to be dedicated to that because it gets tiring very quick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm carrying a backpack with a laptop and batteries and tripod and that bull crap, and like that, I literally didn't do it the rest of the weekend because
Yeah.
signal is terrible. So like I was trying to do live stream stuff, could
Yeah,
never get it to
can't do
work.
that. Yeah.
Um, you're recording as much as you can. If you're going to record, here's some tips for any of the listeners that may be going to ICAST this year. If you got an in with a sponsor, you plan on doing some media stuff, get external microphones. Some of these Bluetooth ones you can get on Amazon, that like the receiver clips into your phone, and then they're Bluetooth, like 2 Bluetooth lapel mics.
Mhm.
Spend $30 and get one of those because there is so much noise in there. Your phone picks everything up.
Yeah.
Even these fancy iPhones, I had, current badass iPhone last year. You can hear everything, even with the noise reduction, and so you just can't get around it because it's
Yeah.
a media event. So there is
Just
6
people
million
talking.
people doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. Everywhere.
so, it, I would say, invest in some lapel mic setups. They're not expensive. Bring a gimbal. Battery banks. Anchor is the way to go with battery banks. Any size you need. Fairly cheap, high quality. I've had the same one for um, probably, Jesus, 5 or 6 years now. It's 20,100 milliamps. It was $50. I mean, it would fit in your pocket. It's got 2
Solid.
outputs, and this thing it'll recharge your iPhone like 8 times. I've ran my GoPro for 3 10+ hour fishing trips in a row, and it only take 2 ticks off this thing. Like, this is the way to go
Jesus.
for filming. Yeah, these
Really?
things are boss. Yeah, this thing, best $50 my wife ever spent. Like, this thing is
Yeah.
beast.
Dang.
So to give you an idea, I left it plugged up to my GoPro for the last 2 weeks, and it still has one battery life left on it.
Dude,
Like,
that's all. Wait, what
this
GoPro
thing's
do you have?
boss. The 9.
Okay. Hmm.
It's still one
That's
of the power hungry ones. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Jesus. Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
yeah, it's a beast. Like I took it with me to ICAST last year and never recharged it. Like and I fished with it. Never recharged it.
Can you charge like a laptop or something off of it?
Not
Is
on
that
these, but they have them that do it now. Anchor
wow.
dropped some that are similar sized they just have, it's basically just more amp output,
Yeah.
but it will run a laptop or like a big
Probably
iPad.
not my laptop. My laptop's like a giant gaming laptop and it's a power hungry beast.
Yeah. You could put it
But
on all of its reduced settings and it would work fine. It would do it.
yeah.
I guarantee it'd do it.
Yeah.
Like I have to do that on my laptop sometimes, is turn like all the graphics down, turn like all the
Turn the
resolution down.
fans off and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Which, well, with my Lenovo, you can't turn the fans off.
Yeah, and
But
I got like 3 modes or whatever I can switch them into, like a
that's
power
cool.
saving mode and all the good stuff.
But yeah, so bring some good stuff with you, bring good shoes. Again, this is for anybody that might be going. Come find us. We are going to be set up in the Dubro fishing booth. I have not looked at the map, no idea where we'll be. If you're going, download the
Is
iCast app.
Dubro
It
gonna be close to Lakewood, or are they in
No
similar
clue.
areas?
I would assume they would be because the owners of both companies are cool.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, you get to pick your booth space at iCast.
Okay.
If that's true, I would assume Lakewood is going to be right at the middle escalator entrance, because last year you came right down the escalator and there's Lakewood. If you came down the middle escalator,
Yeah.
So could be if Sarah got that booth again, Sarah and Steve over there at Lakewood, I would assume Dubro is going to be in the area. So,
Cool.
But there'll be a bunch of hosts down there if you're coming. Me, Garrad, Brian, John Rapp, Randy Newton. I think I'm forgetting one. That might be it. But if you're going, come say hey, come hang out. I'm sure we'll have stickers. We'll be doing shows all day. So what we're kind of doing is, I had a lot of people last year. So like last year, I went down there looking for sponsors for Paddle and Fin. So it was like a marketing trip for me,
Yeah.
like all business. And a lot of people would be like, "Yeah, let's do an episode right now." I'm like, "Well, I'm not. I don't have the equipment in my
Yeah.
pocket." Like, because like most folks
You caught me off
think you're gonna
guard,
just
man.
like, well, a lot of folks think you're just gonna like pull your phone up and record. And I was like, well, no,
Yeah.
we're a podcast. I want to do real equipment.
Show.
I want it to
Yeah.
sound good. So telling Brian that last year, I was like, man, it'd be great if we had a booth. He's like, yeah, we just can't justify the money. We'd have to have at minimum 6 hosts go down there because you always got to have somebody with the booth, blah, 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 blah. Well, then it just so happened to work out that we're sharing some space with Dubro. So the booth
Cool.
will always have people in it, whether it's podcast guys or not. So, but anybody that wants to, like, if there'll be some hot items down there. You get to go look around at the new product showcase. We won't be able to cast a vote though, since we're going on vendor badges. And I don't think we get to get into it until like the last day when they pick it. They keep that like a lockdown area where you can kind of see it from a distance, but you can't go in unless you have a media badge.
Oh, I see.
But if I find somebody down there, I know one of these other podcasters I know, because all the podcast guys go down there.
Yeah.
Tackle Talk.
Swipe their badge for a minute and go
Yeah,
check it out.
absolutely. I'm gonna swap
Yeah.
swap with them and go take me a look. If they
Yeah.
haven't voted, if they voted, they check you off the list and you don't get to go back in.
Oh,
So
I see. You gotta
to
coordinate that
strategically
ahead
do
of
this.
time. Yeah.
Bailey, Eigbert, Bailey, Andrew, Tackle Talk. Let's meet up down there. I
Yeah.
need to borrow one of y'all's badges for a minute.
Yeah.
But no, it'll be a good time. Anybody that wants to do a show, hot product, if we can get somebody from that company to come over and give us 10 minutes, we're gonna scoop them up, have them follow us to the booth, do quick little episodes, and it'll be kind of like the final cast. For everybody listening, you probably saw that Brad and Matt. I'm trying to say it without it sounding like it was bad. There was no bad blood. They just went. I get it. They got tired of doing the same thing, so
Yeah.
they separated from Paddle and Finn. They've started a new show, doing their own thing. I haven't talked to them this week. I talk to Brad, Matt all the time, but
Yeah.
I think what they're doing is they're just kind of expanding outside of what Paddle and Finn does. Like not just fishing. They want to talk about sports and
A little bit of
fishing,
everything.
and
Yeah.
just talk about river smallies, and then talk about hockey. And so I get
Just
that.
everything.
It's
Life.
outside of our niche. So good luck to those. But with the final cast being gone, I know that's leaving a hole for some of y'all, and the hole's going to be there for a little bit. What me and Garrett are doing today is just to give y'all a little bit of something like you used to have with the final cast. We're going to talk about some of the Trika rods and Yo-zuri stuff that Garrett's affiliated with, and talk about that.
Sure.
But you probably won't get much gear review talk until iCast. I will probably be doing a solid most of that. I'm not trying to take the work from anybody else, but there's a solid chance that I'm going to take over that segment and change it. So still working out some details, still writing down a bunch of show idea like changes. So stick with us for a little while. I know Final Cast was a big show for us, top 1 to top 3 show every week. Be going for a little while, but it'll be back, whether it's me doing it or someone else. I'm sure I'll end up taking it over because I've always wanted to do that show.
It's a pretty cool concept. I like the idea of it.
And I filled in for Josh Eldridge for like a couple of months, I think it was, when Josh and Matt were running the show, and it was great. Me and Brad had so much fun doing it. And then Matt wanted to come in when Josh quit, so that was fine because I was still doing the reel down.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when they decided they were going to leave, they hit me up first. They were like, "Hey, do you want it?" And I was like, "Well, fuck, I don't know. Like, I'm already doing something. I just brought Garrett in on the reel down." So
Yeah, you're gonna just leave me hanging, man.
I may try and do both
Bail
of
on
them
me.
because
Yeah.
we may move the final cast formatting may change from like once a week to once every 2 weeks or once a
Yeah.
month, and
I
just
mean,
do
that
a
wouldn't be
bigger
too bad.
show once. No,
Yeah.
I've got like a whole little think board on my phone I've been working on, and I told Brian before I cast I want to like sit down and talk with him and see which way he wants to see it happen, because that determines how I approach iCast. So,
Gotcha.
but
Yeah, that's kind of important.
yeah, but stay with the guys. Be sure and go check out Matt and Brad's new new venture.
They call it the Catch Cast or
The
something like that.
Catch Cast
Yeah.
podcast. I think they just dropped their pilot episode on Spotify.
Yeah.
Go check it out. And then stay tuned for us. We've got. Do we get Hobie? Hobie's this weekend, right?
Yeah. Cayuga.
Cayuga, yeah. So
And KBF on the Delta. I don't know how many people are signed up for that and all that,
they'll
but
probably get a good one because that's the
yeah.
only thing going out there this year.
Yeah.
So it'll probably have a good turnout. So next week we'll have a show covering Cayuga from the Hobie,
Mhm.
or the KBF, whichever people it works out for.
Yeah.
When we'll probably try and do. We'll either be off the Tuesday after that. No, that's July. That's July 4th. So we'll
Probably
figure
not.
something out. We may do the
Yeah.
other one, or we may have a holiday. And then I have no clue if we're going to record. I don't think we'll have a recorded show for the Thursday that ICAST is going on. We'll probably just have a bunch of these 15-minute drops. So it'll
Yeah.
be very unorthodox, but just keep you wherever you listen to your podcasts out. There will be just an absolute stupid amount of stuff to listen to. Like I said, probably a bunch of
Snippets of
short
stuff. Yeah.
10 to 15 minutes. We'll be doing some reels, some Instagrams. I'm sure Brian will try and do a live. We may do one at the house, do like an after hours. So tons of
Yeah.
content coming up. And I'm excited. I can't wait. A little nervous because it's almost here. And I just feel very unprepared.
Yeah. Just send it. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Just
That's kind of how it went last year.
don't overthink it.
No, we definitely underthought it last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll get right into the show today. No tournament coverage today. We're going to do some of the normal recap afterwards, talk about some of the local stuff that was happening on, and give some shout outs where they're due. And we're going to kind of quickly go over the current AOI and the big three.
Yeah.
But
they're getting close to the end on their. I mean, most of those are like at their halfway point, so
yeah,
they're kind of heating up on their AOI races. So.
yeah. But like I said before, what we're gonna do is a little taste of like what the final cast was doing, and some stuff that I know they haven't covered the rods, and I don't think they've covered Yo-zuri in a while. So, if at all.
Yeah.
But without further ado, here steps in my guest, Trika
Hey,
team member
me.
and Yo-zuri pro staff member,
Yeah.
Garrad Johnson. Welcome to the show, Garrad.
Hey, nice to be here.
This is such a nice place. I love what you've done. So,
Awesome.
so it's Trika rods and Yo-zuri and Hardcore baits.
Yeah.
How'd you get involved with any of these?
So with Yo-zuri, actually, that ended up being a connection I made at the Bassmaster Classic last year at the Expo. So the one in South Carolina.
Yeah.
I was just wandering around the expo center and saw the Yo-zuri booth, and they weren't too busy at the time. And I just walked up and started asking them questions and started talking with the guy at the booth. And halfway through talking to him, he was just like, "Are you sponsored by anybody? You got any sponsor?" I was like, "No, not really." I mean, this was. I mean, I only had like 2 or 3 team people that I'm committed to at that point. So yeah, he was like, "All right, well, here's my card. Hit me up after the show and we'll talk." Uh, so I did, and he ended up offering me I forgot what the technical name for the position is. It's like a ambassador or something like
Yeah.
that.
Brand ambassadors.
Brand ambassador, yeah. So it's not really like a sponsorship full on deal,
No,
but it's still pretty cool. Yeah.
and you know, you hear pro staff and ambassador gets thrown around a lot because it is different according to where you're at. So like
Yeah.
pro staff with like Titan tungsten means like 10% discount.
Yeah.
Um, then the ambassador for some companies means they give you a small discount, and just kind of part of the family. Some
Yeah.
companies like Yo-zuri really give you a really good deal on stuff, give you a pretty good amount of product a year,
Yeah.
and it's
I get
still
I get
you're
like
like a
a
step down
X
from the pros, but
yeah.
you're doing way better than most people that take a ambassador spot.
I mean, I'm really happy with it, and then I'm happy they're happy with it, so
Yeah,
it's working out for everybody.
yeah, absolutely. What about Trika?
So Trika, I had kind of followed them as soon as they launched their rods. I want to say sometime last year, like kind of towards the end of last year. Um, they had a ton of like targeted ads out there that I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna actually give these a try and just check it out.
And
Uh,
they're not cheap. So
no,
people that get kind of pushed away by the targeted Facebook ads,
yeah,
because a lot of times it's just cheap crap and they're just trying to do the targeted marketing. This is a very rare case where like this is high end stuff that
yeah,
just used what's hot as far as marketing to help.
yeah. I mean, it works. That targeted ad stuff. I mean, obviously, I got suckered into it, so
It works. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Uh, but I mean, they make a solid product, and the more I looked into them, I realized that that company Trika is the same company that makes Raven crossbows.
Mhm.
Um, so
Good
if
stuff.
anybody knows anything about Raven crossbows, they're like kind of the top of the line in the crossbow industry that you can
Yeah.
get. So they're really familiar with carbon fiber and how to make stuff out of carbon fiber and what kind of blends and all that stuff. So fishing rods was just kind of the next step in their evolution as a company, I guess. So, anyways, I bought a couple of their rods when they first come out just to try them, and I really liked them. At the time, I was looking for a new frog rod, uh, and I ended up picking up this rod I got sitting next to me. It's a their 7.7 extra heavy, moderate fast action rod. Uh, and it's a super lightweight rod, but it's stout, like
Yeah,
super
and
stout.
the lightweight's an understatement. I've held yours, and obviously you can immediately like tell that it's pretty lightweight, but looking at the numbers on it, the rod blank's 4.8 ounces.
Yeah,
Like
it's ridiculous. So
like
the
these
thing I
are
like about it is like you can walk a frog and stuff and throw one and launch one out there and walk it like all day long without your wrist getting tired. Uh, Even though you got a giant rod.
yeah. But they're good looking rods. They're carbon weaved. Um some of their claims, on average they're 7% lighter than, other rods of the same class.
Yeah,
2 times more sensitive, and 26% longer casts. The yours that I felt feel fantastic. Um,
they're
I don't like the grips, but that's just, I don't like that style grip on anything. I don't
that
care if
carbon
it's a fishing.
fiber.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just some people's hands it works into. I don't know. I've got really like rough calloused hands and I just don't
yeah,
feel like I've got a hold of the rod.
yeah.
Um,
I
I've
get
always
it.
been a wind grip guy, which
I do like my
only
wing
lose.
grips too.
Lose does that, or you can do the wraps. But
Yeah. Like I used to before I started. Well, I mean, I've been through tons of different rods, but I used to get a bunch of custom built rods that had full wind grips on them and stuff.
yeah,
That was what I really liked. But um, I started using these more because like I wanted to get into a rod company that I could like if I broke a rod, I could order one a replacement and it'd be here next week instead of like with the custom rods, that's what I typically gravitated towards. Like if I broke one of those, I'm out like
yeah,
a month or two before I can even look at one.
yeah.
uh,
If you're lucky, like
yeah,
that's something I didn't think about till recent because I was thinking about doing some custom rods,
yeah,
and then like I can tell you like boat fishing, I never broke rods, and I've break so many rods kayak fishing. I just think it's just harder on them.
yeah. I don't know what it is. It truly is like you're just harder on everything
Yeah.
in a kayak.
I mean, shoving them in the truck,
Definitely.
shoving them in rod boxes, like,
Yeah,
not in a boat, just a shallow Yakima rod box.
that
Um,
and like getting them hung on stuff. Like if you stand them up vertically all the time, you're
yeah.
constantly slapping tree limbs and bridges and all kinds of stuff.
That's like,
Uh,
I'm a Dobbins guy, and I've had so many Dobbins break, and it's like, it's not Dobbins. It's
no,
like, I'm rough on them.
yeah, it's just 100% our
Like, I
or
broke
just
3
the
rods in the last
nature
2
of the
weeks,
sport.
and you were there when one of them happened.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
100% my fault. Like,
You're
net flew off the boat, grabbed the rod, bent the rod, doubled it over in the rod holder, and snapped the tip off. Well,
yeah.
no, it snapped the rod in half.
It snapped
Um,
two of them in half, didn't it?
well, it
Like,
snapped one in half and ripped the guides off the other one.
yeah,
Um, the line kept the guides. I've actually reattached the guides. Um, but I broke one, and you know how you'll get the infamous wind knot around the tip of a rod
yeah,
that somehow ties the world's greatest fishing knot around the rod.
yeah.
I had that happen, and I tried to like I should have loosened the drag, and I tried to like force up some line, and it just put too much pressure on the tip and broke the tip.
Mm.
But Dobbins is a great warranty, so I've already had them taken care of. But it was still like,
I haven't
it's
had
not
to
the rods.
warranty one yet with Trika, but I did have a shipment of rods come in that UPS damaged
Of course.
on en route. Dude, it snapped three in a row, like three rods in a tube. Like the tube was snapped at the end of it, and I was like, "What? Why-
Dude,
How did you think that was okay to bring that to me?"
that's why I don't like I will not, and this says something. So like on the Dobbins team, we get an amazing setup through them, call order the rods you need and all that stuff. I still have been with Dobbins almost 3 years. I've still not done it one time because I see too many postal service pictures.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be so mad if that happens. So I just
I
don't
mean,
do
I've
it.
ordered tons of rods online. Like, I
I can
literally
believe
just
it.
took yeah, I just took a graveyard of rod tubes that I've been keeping in the garage. Then I literally had like 30 rod tubes.
Jeez, I wish I'd known you're getting. I want you to keep one or two because I need to have one here
I
for
kept
like
one. Yeah.
bulk like warranty, which I've
All right.
now that
I got
Dobbins is
another one
doing.
sitting in the garage. You can have it.
I'm sure you'll order something else between now and then.
But
For anybody that doesn't
anyways,
know it, Garrett's a gear whore. So something I'll
yeah, a little
say is
bit.
like why I trust your judgment on gears because you use all of it. Garrett, this man spends so much money and tries everything, but you didn't come from cheap rods. You literally were using Megabass Levante rods and
Yeah.
got out of them for these. That says something because those are great rods.
Yeah, and I love those rods. I had nothing bad to say about those rods, but I just like the actions and some of the sensitivity a little better on these ones, and they're a little more lightweight. So,
Yeah.
and before the Mega Bass ones, I was using custom rods, and before that, I was using Dobbins rods and Cashin rods. I've used a bunch of those and loose rods. I mean, I've used a ton of different rods, but
My man has made the rounds.
yeah.
This is your first rod sponsor, though,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
That's cool.
And they just opened up a program for it a few months ago, and I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I like their stuff. I'll apply for it." And they took me on. So
No, I mean, and I feel like you did it the right way. You paid for the product,
yeah,
used the product, approved of the product, then got with the company. You didn't do the hi, I'm a professional kayak angler. You should sponsor me.
no, I don't like that approach
I can't stand
typically.
it.
I like to know like what I'm getting into when I'm before I do it. Like I want to support something that I believe in. I guess if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I say that all the time. Like, I mean, sure, not getting paid by basically any of these companies as far as like actual paycheck.
Yeah,
Um, all of the deals I have, you get gear.
yeah,
Um, but it's not about that. I none of the brands I'm affiliated with. Like, here's another one. Bending Branches, been with them for a few years now. Still haven't used that discount. Like, did I get a free paddle? Yes, but I won it in a raffle, legitimately,
Yeah.
and it was great. They did a
That's
raffle just for the ambassadors when we were picking the new color when
yeah.
Copperhead came out, and I actually won it, and it was fabulous because Brad Hicks was pissed because he wanted it so bad because he's an ambassador too.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's funny because he got me in with him. He was like, I'd been with him for like 30 days maybe, and won that paddle. So, but no, it's not about the free stuff or the discount. It's companies that you believe in. That's the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
And these
Uh,
striker rods seem. I haven't got to like. I need to take one from you and like actually fish with it. I've just stood on the bank and cast with them.
I will say too that they have like a stiffer action than most other rods do, which
Like,
personally I like a little more
I
fishing
think
from
that
a
comes from
kayak.
the nature of the carbon fiber.
Yeah. Um yeah, I could see that. But I like to have a little bit stiffer action being in a kayak because we
Leverage.
don't get as good of leverage on all of our hook sets and all of our actions and stuff sitting down and being in a boat that gets basically pulled around by whatever you got in the water.
Yeah.
So um, I feel like having that little bit stiffer action helps me a lot with
Uh,
hook sets and all that stuff.
I think when you pay attention to a lot of kayak fishermen, whether they realize that or not, a guy that I just put on the Music City team with us, Spencer.
Yeah,
Spencer's a Dobbins guy like I am, and he fishes all of their heaviest stuff, which is
yeah,
all of their. Now, Dobbins rods have a lot of tip. All of Dobbins rods, everybody will tell you that, like they say that they're. So, like if it says it's a heavy fast, it's more like a medium heavy extra fast. But
yeah,
uh, I like that. I love to have a stiff rod, but it's still got a whippy tip,
yeah.
just because.
That's I do like that too.
Yeah,
Um,
I use a whippy tip for target casting because I loop cast.
mhm.
Um, but to what you're saying, like from a kayak, he uses that for extra leverage. 7.6s, extra heavies, mag heavies.
Yeah, the
I don't know if he
longer
owns a
rods,
medium action
heavier
rod.
action.
Yeah. Um, just something that I've always thought weird with not the company Yak Rod, but with the idea of Yak rods, kayak rods,
Yeah,
where
it
guys were
always
shortening them or trying to stay under certain lengths.
yeah,
At first, you think that for clearance and like stuff like getting hung in the trees and crap like
yeah,
that, but the more you do it, the more I've gravitated. Like it's went from like when I bass boat fished years ago, 6.6 was like the standard hammer rod,
yeah,
and now it's like 7.9, 8 foot, eight
yeah.
two,
I
and I've
mean,
done the same thing on kayaks. I'm starting to like I went up to 7 foot, and I went to 7.3. Now I've got a lot of 7.4s and 7.6s,
yeah,
and it's like you keep finding those.
you keep going
Like
up,
you're like, oh no, this works good
gravitating
too.
towards those. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't like. I typically don't carry one under 7.3 with me, with the exception of like a spinning rod that's like a 7 foot because that's basically what everybody makes. But
yeah.
Trika makes a 7.5
Ooh.
spinning rod that I just got one. I hadn't tried it yet, but I'm gonna make that like my new offshore like shaky head rod and stuff.
I'm still shaky heads. Spinning rods are still the thing that I just like, man, can't find what I like with it. Got a
Yeah,
pretty good setup right now. I grabbed one of the new Dobbins Maverick with 7 foot, just like you said, 2 power for
yeah,
like Ned rigs and stuff, and I like it so far.
yeah.
I don't know. I've never used a long spinning setup except for saltwater fishing, like like surf fishing.
Mhm.
Um, but when you think
The
about
only
that,
time I'd recommend it is like if you're doing longer like anything where you're gonna have to like bomb a cast out there and
and
drag
like shaky head or heavier
drop shot
rig
or something
or
like
drop
heavier.
shot is what I
Yeah,
think of. Like, and this is like a thought I've had recently. Like, because normally I like the 6.8 to 7 foot spinning rod, but then I
yeah,
was thinking about it and I was like, man, but that 8'5" surf rod I got, I can send that bait to the moon. Like,
yeah. I can launch 120. like 50, 60 yards out there with that thing.
I've got one over here that's I think literally 8.5, and it's set up for like a 2500
Yeah.
series reel. And I've been debating on like it's a 2 piece. I've
Yeah.
been debating on taking it in the kayak and just like putting like a 3/8 ounce Ned rig on it, and just see how far I can throw it. And that might change
Yeah.
the game for me. I might be like, all right, surf rods it is. Like,
Yeah. You barely have to lift the rod to set the hook.
yeah,
That's
and
the
like
that's the other thing, that I think people don't really think about when with longer rods in kayaks, I guess, is,
take up is
yeah,
more.
it picks up more of the line, um, and most of the time, your kayak's moving towards your target, like, you're drifting towards the target just like even if you don't notice it, you're, like, slowly drifting towards it. So you get up with a lot of slack in your line, um, so being able to pick up that slack or pick up more of that line with a longer rod
Oh
helps.
yeah, it's definitely for anybody that is finesse fisherman. I mean, the name of the game is keeping contact with your line so you
Yeah,
can feel everything. And that is
yeah,
like some days, depending on where you're at, wind, current, you can't make those slow presentations like you want to. Like
it can be, like,
every time you
frustrating.
finally get tension on the tip, you're moved 4 feet forwards. So
Yeah.
you're just constantly, or like you made a joke about it last weekend when we were fishing. Um, I think I was throwing that walking bait, and current's going one way, I'm going the other, and I'm walking the bait, and it just sat still.
Oh, yeah. It
Like,
wasn't
you're
moving
not making
anywhere.
ground, it's not making ground, everything's just it's sitting there.
Yeah.
Great if there was a fish there because you're keeping it in the freaking strike zone.
Yeah,
But
right on top of its head the whole time.
yeah, just check, 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 check. But that happens a lot to me spinning rod finesse fishing in a kayak. I notice
Yeah.
like
It
I
your
when I feel
baits
like
and
I'm the world's worst, I sit back like this and I'll just do slow drag.
Mhm.
And I'll be doing that, thinking I'm like I've covered 40 yards, and then I realize my
Yeah.
boat's going down the bank, and that Ned rig probably hasn't moved 3 inches,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, oh, I just
It's
wasted
such
this whole
a
area.
safe spot. Yeah. Yeah,
No,
so,
that's what how many of them you got now? What are those tricas?
uh, I got a full lineup of them now, 10 or 11, I think, but I got all
Jesus,
my bases covered on them now.
nice.
Uh,
But that 7.7 big one's your favorite.
yeah, that one's my favorite. That one's the one I first started with, and I just like it because I like to frog fish a lot, and I've also
Amen.
been using it to throw glide baits and stuff with. Like I'll switch the reel out for another reel that has like a 20-pound fluoro or something on it,
Hmm.
and throw glide baits and stuff with it, or
Nice.
A rigs and that kind of stuff.
You like throwing the A rig on a 7.7?
Yeah,
That's
just
cool. I
they
feel
come
like
on
I
the
throw it on a
strike.
7.9, and with the A rigs, I honestly wish the rod was longer.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
that
Maybe it's because I'm
7.7 works.
short, but I don't know.
Yeah, but what I also like about it is like I was saying earlier, it's a super light rod for how big it is, and like when I'm frog fishing with it, that's when I really appreciate it because like the fatigue on my wrist is a lot less than what it should be for that big of a rod. And it's got a ton of power in it. Like I've
Yeah.
been able to like winch fish through like straight through the lily pad fields and grass mats and stuff with that thing.
Heck yeah. I've never, so like, I've always talked about like, I'm a weird case. Certain rods I like heavier, like the actual blank. Um, like in the Dobbins lineup, my frog rod, which I actually just upgraded it. Um, finally, I always throw in the Fury series, which is one of the lower end series,
Yeah,
because I like that meaty feeling. I don't get the wrist fatigue that a lot of guys get because I've worked with my hands my entire life. I've been a mechanic, electrician, heavy equipment guy,
yeah,
millwright.
I get that.
They just like my arms will get tired, but it's like
Yeah,
my arms would get tired if I just held my arms up. Like it doesn't matter how heavy that rod is.
yeah,
Like so I haven't had to really like focus on the $300 and up lightweight rods. Now spinning, I 1,000,000% agree. You need the absolute just most ridiculously like light, sensitive setup. I'd be curious to see that new one because they're already crazy sensitive. I bet that spinning rod that you got is going to be like
Yeah.
stupid.
Well, I mean the other rod that I'm really liking right now is that 7 foot medium fast spinning rod, um, and it's like I've been using it for kind of more close quarters stuff like docks and skipping senkos and that kind of stuff. And it's awesome. Like it's super sensitive, and it's got like just the right amount of tip on it to just like fling stuff up in those crevices and all that.
Heck yeah.
But it's still got good power. But
Well,
I am
they're
excited for that 7.5 because I want to get offshore and launch some baits out there.
heck yeah. Well, cool little introduction to that brand. I'm sure a lot of folks haven't heard of it. They're making good stuff, and like you said, they're affiliated with a very, very well known brand in the outdoor
I
industry.
got my frog set up here right already.
Yeah, it's a good
See
looking
that?
rod.
Yeah, that one's seen some miles already.
I love the shape of the rod butt on that one. Like I said, I don't really like the like
So
carbon Kevlar wrap, but the
something
shape of it.
interesting I found out the other day is the blank actually ends right here.
Oh,
The rest of this is all hollow. And I guess that was on purpose. They did that specifically so that the vibrations that come through the blank will like reverberate inside of the hollow space, so you'll have be able to feel it better.
I bet you that changes the parabolic bend of it too,
Yeah,
because the real seat sits further down on the blank technically since the blank stops.
yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah, I didn't realize that until that shipment that of ones that broke. Because they broke right on that spot, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" There's the blank stops, and then I saw some video of one of the guys on the team or whatever that was talking about it at a show. And he was saying exactly why they did that, and I was like, "Huh,
Wow, that's really cool.
that's
That
cool."
that does that changes the whole idea of the blank. I mean, you think about any normal rod, the blank is from tip to butt all the way down.
Yeah,
So the way the bend is measured, where it bends, where the real seat goes. So that's completely changing that by that rod stopping 10 inches shy of the bottom.
yeah,
That's cool.
definitely. And it makes it a lot. Well, and it's a lighter rod.
Yeah, less material.
Uh, Yeah,
And if you know anything about carbon fiber or Kevlar, the layering systems, they do it in cars, spaceships. Like it's it is a material that is super fragile in a single layer, but is super durable and like malleable in its layered process. Like carbon fiber is freaking weird. Like I've seen them make drive shafts out of carbon fiber that can handle
Jesus.
like the torque of tugboat would put down or something like that, man. Like it's
Yeah,
crazy.
if you ever look at it again in person, you can see it's got like these weird. I don't know how many layers are in it, but it's got a weird pattern on it for the layering. It's definitely a little unique compared to most other rods I've seen.
Sweet.
Um,
Yeah, I have to check a look at it. We'll have to get some good pictures of them to post up.
yeah,
But no, I wanted to do this as kind of a little bit of an introduction to the brand, and um, I know like when the Final Cast boys did stuff, they would have like somebody with the company come on and talk about it.
yeah,
I still want to do that in the future. So if I get that show rolling again, maybe you can get in touch with somebody with Trika, and we can have them come on and really get into the nerdy part of it, which I know so much of our audience really enjoys. But
yeah,
I at least wanted to give you a chance to talk about them a little bit to get them kind of in the eyes of people. Like I said, they're
yeah,
not cheap rods. I mean, those are $300 rods.
yeah. I mean, they're on the high end, and I think you can actually buy the blank itself if you just want to. If you want to have
Like
like the
build your
rest of the,
own.
yeah, build your own. You can buy the blanks too.
That's
Uh,
cool.
but and like that data that they have on their website, They actually have like the scientific papers that was done from some third party that is non-biased, essentially.
Hell yeah.
So they have the paper for that you can read through it if you want. I was curious and read it. It's like 35 pages, and it's a
Nerding out.
scientific article. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's really quick. I mean, a company that has something to back up their statement, and their statement is that how we outperform a $700 rod. So
they
if
don't
you're somebody
list
that,
specific brands on there, but they will say like this was a $700 rod that they're com-
yeah.
comparing it to, or a $400. Yeah,
So definitely check them out. Something I'll tell people, like, if you're not somebody that invests a lot into fishing gear and you could only have one high end rod, I mean, Garrett would argue and say if you're a frog guy, get a high end frog rod.
yeah.
But
No,
you talk to a
he
lot
said
of
that.
if you talk to a lot of rod people, everybody will kind of agree. Um, Splurge and buy like a high end spinning rod because your finesse setups is what you need your sensitivity with. So if you're in the market for a new one, you're not, brand affiliated, or even if you are, you're looking to try something different, get on Trika, Trika, get on their website and take a look at these carbon weave rods.
Yeah,
They got 5-star reviews across the board. You can do 4 interest free installments with shop pay.
very nice.
Um,
And
but
and they're also made in the U.S. They're made in
yeah,
Texas.
well, they're better if they're made in Texas, according to Texans.
Yeah. I
Sure, it
think the
says that
guys
somewhere on
that
the
are,
website.
I think the guys that created it or that designed it are actually from up north, though. I think they're from Minnesota or Wisconsin, one of the two. I don't remember which
Wisconsin.
one. Uh, so they're all about those finesse setups too.
Oh
They
yeah.
really paid attention to that. So
And like, just to give you an idea, I'm going to read this one part of their history. A history of disruption. Trika is a team of experienced professionals who focus have been developing new innovative products for the outdoor industry. Over the last 20 years, we have developed and brought to market several products that are number one in their category, including Rage broadheads, Raven crossbows, IQ bow sights, block targets, and Glendale 3D targets. If you're an outdoorsman, I've spent a lot of money on all of those things except the crossbow because I'm not a crossbow guy.
yeah,
I have an IQ bow sight. I have a block target. I have Glendale targets. I use Rage broadheads. Those are all reputable companies. So this is not just, again, if you saw this on Facebook and wrote it off because of the targeted marketing, they were just being smart and using what was the hot tool. Like,
yeah.
I've kind of had to put that aside myself when I see companies that I liked and then see their whole like Facebook targeted
Ad
crap.
campaign. Yeah,
I'm just like, or their pro staff campaign. I'm like,
yeah,
it's stupid. No, it's not. That you're riding the high of what's working.
yeah,
It's from a business strategy. You're being smart. Well,
yeah.
so, um,
Any kind of publicity is better than none.
exactly. But yeah, sounds like a great brand. Got a lot of great stuff throughout the outdoor industry. But so the next thing we wanted to get to uh, was the Yo-zuri and Hardcore baits.
Yeah,
Yo-zuri's been around for as long as I can remember. I've seen their products. It's something that, according to where you live and according to like how good of a tackle store you have, you sometimes don't see a lot of it.
yeah,
I see Yo-zuri line a lot in stores, and they'll
yeah,
have like something simple, like maybe their square bills, maybe their rattle trap style baits, but that's about it. And they also have a very large saltwater market.
yeah. Their
Um,
saltwater market, I think, is their big
yeah, they're like money
money
maker.
maker. Yeah, because that's a
Um,
worldwide market that they
yeah,
supply for.
but it's they've got tons of really cool stuff. I kind of got my eyes opened up to them more at ICAST last year at
Mhm.
their setup, just seeing like they've got some crazy looking baits, just like good
Yeah,
looking baits. Not, and I don't think, I mean, everybody says like, like they make stuff to catch the fishermen, not the fish. A lot of their stuff doesn't have that to me. Like most of their color palettes and like colors with their transparency and shapes and stuff all make sense.
yeah.
It's not
I
like who's the best painter. It's like it makes logical sense to the bait.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's more like just focusing on the natural pattern and natural colors, and
Yeah.
not trying to overdo it on like the true pattern, but just making sure that the colors are
And
right
for my
across.
JDM people out there, it's Japanese stuff.
Yeah,
Like leading company in Japan for over 50 years. Like,
yeah. I mean,
when
they've
have you
been
bought a
around.
bait from Japan that sucked? Okay, let's be real.
Yeah,
There's a whole market for it. Matt Souders, JDM Lord, not getting into it. My man, all about the Japanese stuff.
yeah.
But
I mean,
uh
they make some dang good stuff, and they
yeah,
make a lot of good lures, man. I like almost everything I try from them.
and you have all of it, basically. Like Garrad,
Yeah,
when Garrad got affiliated with him, uh he balled out. He bought
yeah,
I remember you text me, he was like, yeah, I just went ahead and bought one of everything. And I was like, what? You're like,
yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah,
showed me a picture of the box that showed up.
if you go on their website and look it through how much one of everything is, it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of one of everything's.
Yes. The box
Uh,
that you got from them that you ordered and paid for, might I add. This was not a, like, again, Garrett wasn't in it for the free stuff. Garrett bought this stuff.
yeah. Well, I
Like,
mean, I did get an X dollar amount that was allotted to me for that they gave to me for my
yeah,
deal,
and then
but
he like tripled
I
that.
went past that. Yeah, I went way past that. It's like, look,
This
I
man
like your
sends me
stuff.
a picture, and the box is like 3 feet long, 10 inches deep, fucking foot wide. And he sent me a picture of it opened, and it was filled to the brim with brand new baits. Like,
Yeah,
whoever packaged that box did a great job because it was like beautiful.
yeah,
Like they
yeah.
they took some time to get all that in that box.
It made it
But
very presentable.
so yeah, Japanese technology. Don't know a lot of the details on the company. Do you know much? Because it's Yo-zuri America, so it's like Japanese design, American side of the company.
Yeah. I think they try to focus on making a quality product that's affordable. Is kind of what I understand from their market is
Yeah,
it's
and I mean, I definitely think they. I mean, that
yeah,
kind of nails it. If you've ever I challenge you to go to your local. I'm sure, like you can actually. I know you can find Yo-zuri stuff in our Walmart, like
yeah.
Yo-zuri
They got
square
some of the
bills.
stuff. They usually have the pencil poppers,
Hmm.
pencil baits. Those are usually at Walmart. The rattling vibes. They're they're rattle trap type bait.
But they
Uh,
just like you can tell it's got a little better quality to it.
yeah,
Like they don't feel like they have cheap hooks. They don't feel like they've got bad split rings. Like don't
yeah.
have cheap
I
paint.
mean, they got pretty solid components and stuff with them. I do think that the Yo-zuri crankbaits themselves come with a little bit thinner wire hook than what I typically like. So I changed those ones out, but that's kind of a personal preference thing.
Well, and it's like, when was the last time you talked to a fisherman that left the trebles on the bait that came with it?
Yeah.
Like,
I will say that with the hardcore line that they have, I leave all the trebles on there. I don't know what it is. I like the trebles that come on
hell yeah.
those. Which their hardcore line is kind of a more what I understand is it's more focused towards like tournament bass fishermen, and it's kind of designed more for tournament anglers.
So it's like the higher end.
Yeah, it's a little more higher end, so they put a little bit better hooks and components on it.
Hell yeah.
And they got some awesome actions, and all of the hardcore line has the weight transfer system in it, so it's got those little magnetic balls or whatever, like the
Yeah.
mega bass jerk baits do.
Yeah. A little
But it's in
tungsten.
yeah, but it's in every single bait in the hardcore line. So
That's sick.
yeah, so like this square bill, you can cast that thing a dang mile. And the other part to that is that you can it helps with accuracy in casting. But you got to be mindful of it when you're casting. When you start the bait, I usually kind of give it a little pop before I start making the action go.
Kind of shift it down,
Yeah,
like
so you can shift the
set the
weight
weights.
back. Most of the
So
time, it does it on its own, but I just like to take that extra precaution to make sure that it does that.
Here, I'm gonna show off some of their.
That's the one I was just holding up.
Yeah. So
That's
this
my
is the.
favorite color in that
Yeah,
square bill.
that's a pretty sick color.
Yeah, it's a
That
little different. Like, that's what I like about it. It's not your
I love that
standard.
citrus shad.
Yeah, that
That
citrus sad is a good one. And that I forgot that pearl shad one is another one I really like.
pearl
I like
shad.
shad colors
That one.
most of
I
the
do
time.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their craw colors are really good.
Yeah, but the 3 to 5 foot squares, great colors. This is the hardcore crank SR65F. If anybody's looking at it, what I did is I got Garrad to pick his 5 favorite baits from all these things, and
Yeah.
we're gonna try and link all this stuff down below in the show notes for everybody if you
Yeah.
want to check it out. We'll at least link the websites, and you can go do your searching. Um, but the hardcore crank SR65S, really nice looking square bill.
Yeah,
Just
and that thing
standard
comes through
colors.
just about everything. Like I mean, I've tried a bunch of different square bills. Like I've used to use the 6 cents ones a lot. Um, I've used a lot of the Strike King ones, Lucky Craft, pretty much all of them. But that one is one of the top most weedless ones that I've used.
Definitely
It comes
need to
through
check it out.
like
It is a
lay downs and stuff really
and
good.
a lot of that could be attributed to it's a floating square bill,
Yeah, it
so
floats too.
that you can really, really like.
Yeah, if I start
I
getting
love a
hung up, I
floating
just
one
kind of
because you
like,
can literally just stop retrieving or tip the rod up, and then you can
yeah,
just give it that little bit
exactly.
off the top.
Just let it stop for a second and float over what you're trying to get over, and then start reeling again. Um,
So moving on to back to the Yo-zuri brand, just because you
yeah,
held it up a minute ago, the 3DB pencil popper, which is one of the more known baits that they make.
yeah.
Um, if
It's
you're a walking bait guy, I'm a spook guy. Love a Zara spook. I'm one of the like if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of guys with some of the
yeah.
stuff. When the spook stops catching fish, I'll try something else. But um, these things have killer action. I've seen you throw it a ton.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
this thing comes in some sick colors too.
yeah, it does. That chartreuse one is an interesting one. I've heard a lot of people say that they like that color on like spotted bass lakes and herring lakes and stuff. I typically just throw mostly the bone color.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a good bone walking bait.
Yeah,
I mean, me and you were having this conversation. Another go-to color for me, so it's either bone for me like this,
mhm,
or this is what they call prism silver black, but it's basically a chrome with a black top.
yeah,
Very good color. And these are some awesome like the so this will be more for you walking bait guys. This will be like the size of the super spook.
yeah.
Would it be the mega dog or the sexy dog?
It's, if you want exact measure, it's 5 3/8 inches.
Yeah, so
Uh,
around the
Closer
standard
to,
spook size, in my
yeah,
opinion. Because
and
you
it's like it's a 1 ounce bait, so you can launch it.
forever
Yeah, I
spooks
would compare this
walking
one is
fly through the
pretty
air
comparable
beautifully.
to like a shower blows. If anybody knows,
Yeah,
that one's pretty popular.
I forget who
It's a
makes that.
evergreen, I think.
Yeah, that's right, Evergreen.
Um, and it's pretty comparable to a shower blows, but like half the cost, half as much as this one, but it still works just as well. So there's that.
That's
Uh,
awesome. You can see there's one right here on the screen. I'm going around the cursor. This was a color that wouldn't come up on it. This is one of the real craw colors. It's like a
yeah,
transparent craw in that square bill that we were just looking at from the
yeah.
hardcore line. Uh, Sick.
They got a couple other colors. I don't think they have on their website on that hardcore square bill that are out that I really like. There's some cool craw colors that they got. I got them in my tackle box, but I should have brought them over here with me. I should just brought the whole box. I got
We'd been here all night.
like yeah.
We're already an hour into the show, so um,
Yeah,
we'll go.
that's their little that's a new line that they come out with this year is the
The
3DRX line.
yeah,
and it's kind of more focused on like a finesse line, I guess, for crankbaits and just hard plastic baits
Hmm.
in general. So that pencil 75, that thing is little. Like it's
3 1/4, or I'm sorry, 3 inches and 1/4 ounce.
yeah, it's tiny. There, I don't
So
know if you can see that, but
that'll, yeah,
yeah, you can see it on there.
you can kind of see that size profile against that bass. But this is something like going towards the Spook Juniors.
Hmm.
So again, for you old school folks, 3 inch walking bait, really nice finesse bait, skinnier water. Um, which I've got to where I like most of the time using the smaller walking baits when
Yeah,
they're busting stuff on top. Um,
and
not
it
really
depends.
sure why, but I just feel like I've had more success with them hitting the smaller bait than I have them hitting the bigger one.
Mhm.
Um,
And actually getting it.
yeah, and I cheat the system too. So a trick I don't even remember who I got it from. Um, some old man. Uh, no matter what the bait is and how good the hooks are, on my walking baits, I upsize the hooks 2 sizes. I upsize them to where the hooks will almost touch if they meet in the middle, if not touch, but they can't hook each other.
That's smart.
And I've I would say like almost like probably 90% increase in hookups. It's just
Yeah,
they gonna get a hook. Uh,
there's
I don't
nothing
know.
but
It's
hook on there.
uh, and it looks goofy. If I pulled my Spook Junior out right now, it's like the hooks and the bait just don't match. But
Yeah.
it walks better because it adds weight to these
Huh.
um little bitty baits. I mean, yeah, if you got floating grass and debris, it's gonna get into it. But when you like you mentioned the spotted bass, when you get in around the spotted bass, um, like I like fishing it under bridges.
Yeah.
Um, when the spotted bass come up and are just like swatting at them and just like really blowing up at it,
Mhm.
you usually get them. Like whether they get it in the mouth, side of the head, like
Yeah.
you got them.
Mhm. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's a trick I've done for the last few years, and I don't know. With that bait, I started trying it with my ploppers actually 2 weeks ago. Same concept. I kept having, you get the misses and the short strikes, and I was like, I'm just gonna put a way bigger hook on the back of it,
Yeah.
and I went up 2 sizes on the hook, and I should have sent you pictures of it, Garrad. They were biting it, and it looked like frog hook sets. Perfect roof of the mouth, 2 hook
Jeez.
points coming through it, like every time they bit. That's what it looked like, and I was like,
Huh.
all right, well,
The bigger
I don't
hooks.
know if it works with the Whopper Plopper, but with the Chapo, it doesn't change the Chapo run at all. It runs
Huh.
exactly the same.
Doesn't
With
sink or anything.
No,
Try
it
to.
stayed up,
Huh.
did just fine. Like you could still slow creep it, and it just. But I don't know. There's a little tip for anybody listening,
Yeah.
which I probably said that when we talked about walking baits on the noob segment. But really cool trick. But yeah, this the
Sometimes
3DRX pencils.
I'll give you another. I'll drop another juice tip, I guess. Sometimes on my walking baits, I will change out the middle hook for that VMC bladed treble.
Hmm.
Um, the one that has a little tiny willow leaf blade on it.
Yeah,
Um, I feel like that gets me some bites, and actually, they actually hit the bait or hit the
it just
hook.
gives them something to target.
Yeah,
And these colors
especially
on
like
this thing are nasty
yeah, I
because
like that color.
the bait actually is patterned. Like if you see these
Yeah, it's
diamond
got like these
features,
little
anybody watching this on YouTube, that is in the mold.
yeah, and it helps like refract light
Yeah.
into the
Well, why is
bait,
this one
like
not? There
shine
we
into
go.
angles and stuff.
Man, that'd be a great color on a perch lake.
Yeah, actually, you need to take that one to Florida to iCast that color.
I may have to get make a Yo-zuri order.
Yeah,
No,
well, they got their Port St. John, I think, is where their Yo-zuri
headquarters
America.
is. We need to make a run. We need to stop by.
That's only about 2 hours or so from iCast.
That could be an expensive trip.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go. So we covered the pencil popper, the pencil, and the 3DRX line. the SR65S, which was the square bill. Now we're gonna check out the
I mean, they got all
bullet
kinds of
crank.
stuff. It's hard when you said your top 5. I was like, man,
Yeah.
I
Well, so
like.
I knew if I just let you go, this would be a 5-hour episode.
I basically looked for my top 5 right now.
Yeah.
For this time of year, because other times of year it changes. Obviously, like when we
So
start getting into jerk baits and
what we've moved on
rattling
to
dives and stuff.
right now is the coming into ledge season, cranking season.
Mhm.
The hardcore bullet crank 5 plus, 3 1/8 inch long, 1 ounce, deeper diver. It's a 15 to 20 foot, so a 5 meter
Yeah,
deep diving crank, and these things look amazing. And they've got a little different. If you look in this upper picture right here, I wish I could expand that picture, uh, but it's got a kind of a unique shape to the bill.
yeah,
It's
it
not
does.
completely rounded. It's not completely flat. It's a cool little profile.
I think that was from what I said or understood. That was by design. That was so that it doesn't pull you as much. So
So
it's
it
kind of a
comes through the
nice,
water versus pulling you to it.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
pretty sick.
with a deeper diver though, you still kind of within a kayak at least, you still need to be like either having your boat turned sideways and doing that, or be pedaling backwards while
Or
you're
learn the long lining technique.
yeah, learn long line. Or it's just like no matter what you do, you're gonna get pulled towards it. But
Yeah.
these,
That's where a good cranking rod comes into play, because you got to be able to send these things to Mars.
yeah,
Like, you don't
launch
ever
them.
see anybody like pitching a deep diving crank. You got to spool that thing like
And
big
that's
guests.
part. I mean, part what I guess what they say about deep divers is that only a third of your cast is going to be in the strike zone. Like you're
Yep.
going to have 1/3 of it getting
To the
down to it
depth.
depth, yeah, and then a third
It
in
rides the depth.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's where you
so
see a lot of guys that have mastered the long lining technique, though, is like, 300 series reels, a lot more line, and you can get it down the depth quicker and keep it there.
keep it, yeah, and you can get it deeper than what it's like
Oh yeah.
designed for. Doing that,
But these are all really good looking.
yeah,
Yeah,
and like I
all
said,
their paint jobs are phenomenal.
and like I said, those also have that weight transfer system in it, so it helps with what you were just saying with that longer cast, getting it out there.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, this bait's been. I don't know if anybody follows like Cole Sands,
Hmm.
the Elite Series. He's a rookie in the elites. He guides on Chickamauga. He's been like destroying him on this bait. And like Spencer Sheffield, he throws that bait a lot. I think he did really well with that at the Gunnersville event that they had.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was throwing a lot of out there. But
Yeah. It's another sick one. 15.99 MSRP. So this is the hardcore side. So higher end, paying a little more,
mhm.
still
Which
on
still is
par.
not bad for a big
No,
bait like that, like a big
no,
crankbait.
it's more than an XD. I think
It's
it's
comparable to like a 6XD size wise.
yeah 6XD size
Yeah.
to comparable to like I think it's still cheaper than a Megabass.
Oh yeah, it's still cheaper than I think a Megabass one, the deep what 6 or whatever they call that one.
Hmm.
That's about the same concept and design as like $20 bait, 25.
Nice. So the last product we're gonna get to here real quick with we're going back to the Yo-zuri side. Um, no real need to bring up picture of this. I guess I will just so people could see the packaging. Is the Yo-zuri T7 premium fluorocarbon.
Yeah.
Um, I am a Sunline guy. There you go. See, we don't even need the picture.
Yeah.
Garrett's got it right there.
That's all you need.
So I'm very, very very like anal with fluorocarbon. I got spoiled very quickly because when I first decided to spend money on fluorocarbon, I went to Sunline FC Sniper, and not affiliated with Sunline. I'll tell you, it's very hard to beat their fluorocarbon. I know everybody's on that Seagar train. Me personally, I've got a whole box of Seagar over here. I have less issues with the Sunline, less breakage, more sensitivity. Sunline is one of the few that I can take the spool, I can roll it off the spool, and it's going to hang dead straight. No line memory. It'll line memory on your spool, but like I use a lot of leaders, and those leaders stay straight for a long time. But this Yo-zuri T7, for the price,
that's
the
where I
kicker.
was going with that.
Like
I will say
it's
that
very
I
good.
do really much enjoy, like the Sunline, the Sniper. Like I've tried it and I really liked it, but man, it's expensive.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So with me not being affiliated, I can say this. Again, you're paying top notch. It's like buying oh god, what's that high end Tatsu?
Tatsu,
Yeah, like it's expensive to get that kind of quality. So when you see the prices on this stuff, I don't have the prices. It doesn't show the MSRP on here, but this stuff is like what,
for
maybe
the
$12?
the 200-yard spool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like 12 to $15
for their top of the line 100% premium
depending on where
fluoro.
you're looking for it.
Yeah, and you can get it at like Walmart in most places. Like
An
I'm pretty
Academy.
sure I bought mine at Academy and Cabela's that go around because they had them on sale.
Yeah.
But the T7 it's really good. I've used all of their line. Complaints with some of the other, but the T7, like I'm on the verge of swapping to T7, like just completely, because it's like, do I think it's as on the same high quality as like Tatsu and Sunlight? No, but it's good enough, and it's half the price.
Yeah.
Like
And I will say that I think it's a little more durable than the Tatsu and like some of the higher end line.
it's
Um,
definitely like the first spool I spooled up. I was cranking with it. So I
yeah,
spooled up, went to the river to like basically like dial the reels in. Not
yeah,
fishing, standing on the bank, casting, setting settings on the reel, dial and drag and stuff in. And I hooked like I think it's like a 4 pound largemouth on the crankbait, and like really dogged on it and was like, dang. Well, I'd never checked the knot, drug it down the boat ramp, like all sorts of stuff. Took the fish off, cast back out there, hooked a floating tree that I didn't see, or like a slightly submerged tree,
yeah.
and I wrenched the tree in on like 15-pound T7 or whatever mine is. I don't even know what size mine is, but
14 and 16, I think is what they come in.
it's probably 16 then.
Yeah,
But winched this tree like all up through the boat ramp, like just beating the line up. The knot never broke. It never like over tightened the knot. The line was like you could feel it was like nicked up from dragging,
yeah,
but it never broke. And like I fished that crankbait just like that without retying it for like 2 more weeks. And it didn't break off. I just cut it off. Like it is stupid tough line.
yeah. And it's got comparable line diameters to some of that high end line.
So that was the thing that sold me on it. That's something you can go back to the Noob Show Final Cast. We've done line shows. That's
Yeah,
something I pay attention to
yeah,
is line diameters. When I'm comparing brands, I'm looking for the sizes versus the strengths and weights and all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Especially when you're a braid to leader guy, because too big of a diameter braid to too small of a diameter of fluoro leader, the knot will slip. I don't care what knot you tie in it. I mean, outside like the FG knot,
I mean, even
but
that'll slip
it'll still,
sometimes.
yeah, it will.
I've had it.
But
I've
if
had
you
it.
don't do your weaves or whatever they call those on the FG really,
Yeah,
really tight, if your diameters are different, it'll pop right out.
yeah,
And it'll like you'll survive the pop test, but the first time you hook into something, it'll slip right out.
yeah. I've
Um,
happened, and it's frustrating.
so like an honorable mention, this being like one of your products, your top 5 that you mentioned.
Mhm.
Like not as much to say online, it's good, just good line. But something as an honorable mention, check out their braid
The
for
super
everybody
braid.
listening. Their
Yeah.
super braid, hands down, I've used a lot of braids. Mostly a Power Pro guy because I like that rough and tough braid.
Yeah.
But I've used SmackDown. I haven't used Sunlines yet just because it's harder to get without just like ordering it online. And again, I just don't order tackle online.
Yeah.
I'm one of the weird ones. That
Is
is,
that 32? I forget who makes that.
I can't remember.
And spider wire and all that.
Yeah, used all those. Used the Strike King stuff. Like I've used every bit I can get my hands on. Yo-zuri's braid is the smoothest casting braid, the smoothest to the touch braid.
Yeah.
Like, and what's crazy to me is it's a super smooth braid and it doesn't dig in bad.
I don't
Like
know how. Yeah.
Power Pro Super Slick V2 under 50 pounds bites in on itself and will give you the absolute worst internal like knots and kinks.
Mhm.
I've had Super Slick knot in so bad from a hook set that 3 or 4 casts later, the line broke halfway through the reel somewhere, and you cast and it just flies off with 30 feet of line on it.
Yeah.
Like this stuff is 10 times as smooth as Super Slick, casts a million times better, and doesn't bite. Like you can watch it dig in, and then you can just like pop it right back out. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like it's allowed me to try lighter braids because with Power Pro and those experiences, I just threw 50 on everything. But again, going back to line diameters, Power Pro, one thing they did really well with their braid is they kept the diameter sizes down.
Yeah.
So you could get away with a lot more. So when I was looking into Yo-zuri braid for pound, they're the exact same diameters as Power Pro on
And
all
I
of them.
think the same is true with some of the higher end fluorocarbons versus the
Yeah.
T7.
Oh, well, so the T7 was I
I
was
think it was
comparing
thinner or something.
16 to 18, and it was obviously thinner because it's a 2 pound difference between Sunline and everything, but it
Yeah.
was like a bigger difference. Like you would do it on like averages because you can flip the package over and like look at your
I
sizes.
think I was doing that same comparison with the 10-pound fluoro to Cigar Tatsu 10-pound, and I think that the Yo-zuri one was like a fraction of a millimeter or whatever.
Yeah, we're talking about
Small.
like hundredth to a thousandth of an inch.
Yeah.
Like,
I can pull it up here
yeah, it's insane.
if
Like
I
it's
fact check myself, I guess.
yeah. Let's see. I've got the Yo-zuri diameters pulled up right here.
You got the Yo-zuri ones?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, cool. I got it in millimeters and inches. Ooh, 1,000-yard spools.
Yeah. Oh, I
Like,
got a couple of 1,000-yard spools in the garage.
and with their prices, it was probably like $60.
Yeah, they're not bad. Like you could almost get a 1,000-yard spool for what you can get a thing of Tatsu for.
Yeah, 1,200-yard spool of Sunline is like $165 or something like that at 18
Yeah.
pounds. It's insane.
All right, what do you got for 10-pound?
All right, so 10-pound T7 inches or millimeters?
Do inches.
0.010.
That's what 10-pound Tatsu is.
It's the same diameter as a line, 3 times the price.
Yeah.
Do a 20,
20-pound Tatsu or
just something high end.
I'll do 20-pound Sunline. Sorry, forgive me
Garrett's having to
for
work between 2 computers and 4 monitors. We'll give him a second.
yeah. We're loading.
I'll give you that. It's good camera placement. I didn't know you were running 4 monitors until you told me, but I noticed you have to like to see the other monitor. You turn like 90 degrees to the left.
Yeah. Usually I'm not sitting this close to it either. All right. Well, it shows it in millimeters.
Okay.
0.37.
So that's the same thing, which is
That's
0.015 inches. So T7 is running the same fluoro diameters as Tatsu and Sunline. Are you on FC Sniper?
Yeah, FC Sniper.
Yeah. So much higher in line, same fluorocarbon diameter. Again,
Same pound test.
same pound test. Not going to have the same, like you're going to get a little more memory out of this stuff. Not going to be that just perfectly straight off the spool, but add a little hot water, spool the reel up like you're supposed to. It's going to be just fine.
Yeah,
And it's tough.
it
Ties
is.
knots real good. Does really good in braid to leader because it's about all I do. I actually liked it for cranking. I use some of the 20 for cranking.
Mhm.
I've enjoyed it. I would probably, my opinion, I'd probably have to go up. I'm not a big jerkbait guy.
Yeah.
But when you get into the line gripes of big jerkbait fishermen, I'd probably move up to a higher end line just for jerkbaits when you actually need the jerkbait to stop and stay still. Like, especially in the winter when it's like twitch, twitch, pause for 10
Yeah, I can see
seconds.
that.
Because I definitely noticed in February when I was using it just a little bit with a jerkbait, you definitely would twitch, twitch, and you could watch it. If it was,
Coil.
you could watch, yeah, it would coil. Not, it wasn't terrible, but it definitely, like, I've heard guys that are really good at it, like Russ, like the bait's got to sit still, like it's
Yeah.
got to twitch, twitch, stop. So, um, probably wouldn't use it in that scenario, but everything else when I'm being rough for
Yeah.
chatterbaits, spinnerbaits, stuff like
Um,
that.
a little secret, I guess, that I do sometimes is I just use braid to fluoro leader for my jerk baits, so there's no stretch in the line, and I
I
use
don't know.
long
I mean,
enough
I braid the
cable.
leader, everything else. I don't know why I don't braid the leader crankbaits.
Yeah,
I just never have. Might as
that's
well
only
try.
for jerk baits, so that I can get the snap in action that I'm looking for, and so it'll stop when I stop.
Getting all sorts of nuggets, folks.
Yeah,
Well, we are going extremely long, so we're gonna shut her down on the tackle talk right there. But uh, again, wanted to do this to give everybody their little bit of fix on some gear review, and we're actually getting some good input on it from a man who works with them and was using the product well before he was working with these companies. So check out
yeah,
your Yo-zuri and Hardcore tackle. Make sure you check out the Trika rods, um, American-made rods, Japanese designed, American-made tackle. Um, pretty sick stuff. I'm sure we'll try to get some of those guys to come talk with us at ICAST as well.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be down. I know that probably Chris with Yo-zuri will be down to talk with us for a little bit.
absolutely, we'll definitely try to drag him in. Well, to get back to the roots of our show, since we didn't talk about tourneys this week, we're gonna hit some quick tourney recap before we let everybody go. So we're gonna actually real quick, Garrad, give us the rundown of current AOI status.
Yeah, let's do that. What do you want first? The Bassmaster, the Hobie, or the KBF?
Bassmaster.
All right. So in our leader for the Bassmaster right now is Nick Dyer. He's got 727 points. I don't know how they were doing their AOI this year. Do you know? Like, was it um like are they taking all of your events or are they calling out events?
I'm sure they're calling out.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know though because that number sounds like it's all of them so far.
It's either that or they have an elevated point system per event.
Oh, true. Yeah, because I mean Gunnersville had like 200 something people. So,
Right. Give me the
uh,
top three though. So
so
Nick
Nick
Dyer's
Dyer.
first.
Then you got Eric Siddiqui behind him with 718. So
Not
that's
too far
still
back.
within, yeah, still within reach. Then after that, you got Joshua Dial with 697.
Nice.
Uh, and Tom Kazmierski's on there with 683. We had him on our show earlier
Oh
this
yeah,
year.
Tom's a hammer, and he's hanging in there. If he's fourth place and still not too far back, you know, all you need is one of these guys to have a bad day, and you have a really good top 5 finish.
Something I was pretty excited about that I wanted to mention is that they posted these AOI standings alongside their Elite Series AOI standings and the Opens AOI standings.
That's cool. Exposure.
So like, yeah,
Thank you, Steve-O.
they're really putting the spotlight on the kayak stuff, uh,
Heck yeah.
and not just like brushing it to the side like they had in the past. It kind of seemed like,
Thank you, Steve Owens.
yeah. So
All right, hit me with the Hobie top 5.
the
The
Hobie.
top 3.
So we got, man, this is a young crew on the AOI for this one. We got Ewing Minor with
That was my guess for
766.
first.
Yeah. Second is Jackson Orr with 750.
His college teammate.
Yeah. And third is Matt Millard with 744. Actually,
Nice.
it's a tie for third. It's Matt Miller's and Jason Broach, both with
Nice. Jason
744.
Birch. We've had him on a couple times.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Adam and Russ are up in there.
Oh, yeah. You can't ever count them out.
Local guys. Figured I'd give them a shout out.
But I can't wait to see how that works out. I'm really rooting for Ewing. Ewing's a really good guy.
Yeah,
I mean Jackson is too.
They're both having a killer year.
Yeah, they're tearing it up. So
I think both of them are fishing Cayuga, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, I'd guarantee it.
So this one will definitely have an impact.
All right, well, hit me with the KBF. I bet you I can tell you one of the top 3.
Try and guess it.
Well, I know Nick Audie's got to be up there.
He is not up there.
What? I thought he had jumped into the top 3.
This is the Angler of the Year standings after Chickamauga Lake. So I don't know if maybe he hasn't hit enough of those events yet, or
trying to think.
We got Ryan Nye.
Oh, I knew that. I should have. Yeah,
actually,
I knew there was one. I knew.
Place is tied.
Wow.
Ryan Nye with 2304 and Casey Reed with 2304.
Casey's always up in the KBF one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Then you got Jake Angulis with 2280, and the guest we had on last week, Wyatt Hammond, with 2274.
Nice. Well, that is your update on AOI.
Teammate up on there is Jimmy McClurkin. He's still on there.
Heck yeah.
In the 9th spot.
Get it, Jimmy. Finish the year out strong, brother.
Yeah, you got this.
But so yeah, there's your AOI update for your big 3, the national side of things. Tons of AOI stuff going on throughout the club. If you're in it, congratulations. Keep grinding through the year. Bring home that AOI for your local. Have a little bragging rights for the year.
Yeah.
But we're gonna real quick. We'll hit on these. I've got 10 or so to tackle, so we'll get right into it. So first up, we got the Grassroots Bass Yakking on the Tippecanoe River. It was a multi-single day tournament. Each angler gets to choose a day to fish between the 15th and the 19th. 25 anglers, 5 fish. First place, Brian Moore with 87.5. Second place, Randall Kaiser with 78 3/4. And third place, Glenn Landstrom with 78.5. Okay, so this was a separate event, same club. Trail Series event on Kegel's Mill Lake. Same format of the multi-single day. Had 26 anglers with the 5 fish limit. First place, Michael Kulik with 74. Second place, Justin Long with 72. Third place, Jim Bailey with 71.25. Next up, the big tournament that went down last week was the Ontario Kayak Bass Trail on Balsam Lake in Canada. 161 anglers. First place, Ryan Tyler with 94 inches. Second place, Chris Totosco with 93.5. And tied for second was Brian Morrow with 93.5. So I'm going to zoom down because there was another one that was going on with that, if I'm not mistaken.
You said 161 anglers?
Yeah.
Wow.
So showing out bigger than the national trails.
Yeah.
In some situations. So get this. There was also the Ontario Bass Nation event going on at the same time on a different lake, on Lake Dalrymple, and it had 58 anglers. wait a minute. It's got the same guy winning it. How's that possible if it was two different events? Maybe in 2 different days. It may have been a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah, it could have been. Or
So
he just didn't, or he quit fishing one place
he
halfway through
dominated
the
one and then swapped lakes.
day. Yeah.
That would be such a gangster move.
Yeah. No
Enter 2
joke.
tournaments, 2 separate lakes in the same state, and leave by like 10 a.m. and win one, and then go fish like 10 or 11 to 2. Dude, that would, bro,
I've thought about doing it before, but I
that
don't
would be
have the
thug
balls
status.
to pull that off. Yeah.
But so Ontario Bass Nation on Lake Dalrymple, 58 anglers. Chris Totosco, 92 and 3/4 for the win on that one. Josh Bobick for 91 for second. Andrew McGuire for 87 and a half. Moving on from there, the kayak anglers of Northeast Ohio on East West Harbor. Harbor only event, no lake, which that's kind of the thing when you do East West Harbor because it's on a very big part of the lake. 51 anglers, 3 fish limit. First place, Aaron Stahlbaum with 59 inches. Second place, Kyle McClarney with 55 and a quarter. Third place, Drew Bad with 54. Moving on from there, you got the New York kayak bass fishing on Cayuga, not Cayuga, Cayuga, Keuka. 56 anglers, 5 fish limit. Stephen Valentine with 94 and a half for the win. Second place, Jose Vuittonnet for 93 and a quarter. And third place, Pat Viomet with 91 and a half. Next up, the West Virginia kayak anglers, Tigert Open on Tigert Lake, 28 anglers. First place, Travis Harper with 81 and a quarter. Second place, listen to these numbers drop off. First place with 81 and a quarter was Travis Harper. Second place, Scott Birchfield. Second place, 68 inches.
Oof.
Drop out. Third place, yeah. Buddy Vance with 67 and a quarter. Moving on from there, the Indiana kayak anglers on Raccoon Lake, 47 anglers. First place, Steve Martin with 86 and 3/4. Second place, Justin Kivett with 80 inches. Third place, Drew Duncan with 78 and 3/4. Next up, the Minyak event on Lake Vermilion in Minnesota. 31 anglers. First place, Ryan Bonikowski with 91 and a half. Second place, Scott Stolman with 88 and a quarter. And third place, Joey Vanya with 88. Nice. Moving on to the Nebraska Kayak Series Capital City Clash. 5 lakes in play: Yankee Hill, Home, Stagecoach, Olive Creek, and Conestoga. 30 anglers in that one. First place, Sam Burke with 87 and 3/4. Second place, Timothy Parker with 85 and a quarter. And third place, Jason Schreck with 82 inches. Next up from there, the Bassin Jackson Kayak Trail Tri-Lake Division Championship. Nolan River Lake, Barron River Lake, Rough River Lake in Kentucky. 30 anglers. First place, Todd Yoakum with 83 and a quarter. Second place, Jeremy Hayes with 82 and a half. Third place, Paul Averill with 81 and a half. Moving on from there, the kayak anglers of Missouri Trail Stop on Smithville Lake, 35 anglers on that one. Troy Caldwell, first place with 83 and 3/4. Second place, Sean Priest with 81 and 3/4. Third place, Lyle Dube with 77 and a quarter. Next up, the Minnesota Kayak Fishing Association Chris Nelson Memorial Kayak Event. 75 anglers, 5 fish limit. First place, Daniel Zimmershed with 91 and a quarter. Second place, Steve Bild with 88. Third place, Gary Vang with 87 and a half. Moving out to California.
Northern lakes are
on fire.
Yeah.
On fire.
Yeah.
Because you ain't getting those numbers at Pickwick right now.
No.
Next up, the Central Valley Kayak Fishing on Lake Kauai in California. 44 anglers, 5 fish limit. I'm sure you could. It's California. I guarantee you can pick one of the people in the top 3. Take a huge guess.
No.
You wouldn't get it wrong. Damian Tao.
Yeah.
First place, Peter Chow with 79 and 3/4. Second place, Damian Tao, 76 and a quarter. Third place, Robert Yamamoto with 75 and a quarter. Yeah, Damian. Shout out to Peter for the win. Absolutely. Shout out to Damian for just continued top tier success, staying up in the podium.
After he was that was this past weekend?
Yeah, so he was just left Tennessee for the
World Championship deal
Yeah,
on Center Hill. Yeah.
not to be denied. Went out there, kicked ass some more.
Yeah.
Moving on from there, got two more. The SoCal American Bass Kayak Series on El Capitan. 32 anglers. It's also in California, if you didn't catch the SoCal part. First place, Griffith Garbrandt with 91 3/4. Second place, Anthony Garcia with 86 1/2. Third place, Steve Buckner with 85 1/2. And that is, oh, I'm lying. That was it, because the last one on the list is the double up for the Ontario one that I was reading off.
Nice.
So that is it, folks. A long
Gonna have to
show.
get some of these Canadian guys on here at some point.
We do a Canadian show every year. It's really fun.
Yeah.
We definitely need to do it soon, because they're having way more turnout now than they were even when we first started covering it. Like,
I
they
think
were
maybe
75 to 80, and now that was 161.
well, didn't they? I mean, they took a little longer, didn't they, to like lighten up on some of their COVID restrictions and stuff that they were
Oh
having.
yeah.
So I think that
Well,
this year is kind of really,
and kayak fishing as a whole is just like taking its time out, because their fishing season's so short.
yeah,
So, like, because I remember them talking about it, and he was like, "Yeah, we basically start fishing, like, I can't remember if he said like April 1st, May 1st, or June 1st, or something like that." And he was like, "That's when it's on, because it's when the lake's open
yeah.
for, like, the bass season's open there." And then they have until, like, I don't know, August or September, and it's over. It's
Yeah.
gone. Like, it froze up. But yeah, a little bit different show today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. We just wanted to give everybody a little taste of what we're missing from a little gear review. Again, thank you, Garrad, for joining me as a guest and co-host as normal,
No
and
problem.
to talk about a couple of these brands you really believe in. Some really cool stuff coming with them guys.
Yeah.
Glad to give everybody just a little update on iCast. It's coming up quick. Be sure to get signed up. Look into the Del Hollow stuff. That's still a thing for next year. Details will all still be coming in for that.
Cool.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to it, Gary?
I think you pretty much covered it.
Well, all right. Well, it's been another great show. We thank you again, as always, for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check us out on YouTube. Check out our socials. Check out the links below for all the stuff we talked about today. Getting ready for iCast. Fishing season's in full effect. Hope you're out there catching PBs and staying hydrated, because it's hot as hell out for most of these places.
Yeah, I had to bring like a full. I think I brought like a full thing of. How many ounces of Gatorade was that? 2 of the 32-ounce Gatorades put together. It was actually 2 different flavors, and that was weird. But
Suicide.
yeah, I mixed the orange and the blue together.
Oof.
Dude, I had to soak that thing down this past week.
I bet. Well, yeah. Hope everybody's doing great. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week. Either the KBF winners from the Delta, or the Cayuga from Hobie. But until then, everybody be good. Peace.